Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter. Miguel, welcome to June.
Right. Yeah. It's flying by. Not very June weather currently, but
No,
June all the same.
I don't like it. I mean, it was just January. We were just talking in January, and a lot has happened. We've done so much, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Like it goes in a blur. The months feel long and short at the same time. There's not enough time, yet plenty of time to do everything. Things keep getting added to the plate. And I don't know. I'm just afraid it's all of a sudden going to be like that November, December lull again. And it's like, no, what's happening? Like, did we even have a year? What's going on?
Right. Yeah. There's so much going on. And yesterday when we were doing our planning of now we're talking about August already because time is flying by. Things are coming up and you got to plan ahead. So it's like we're already looking towards the end of summer while summer's kind of just starting now. And weather-wise, I mean, it's not even there really. So
Yeah, the weather is, I don't want to bore anyone with my thoughts on the weather, but it's like this time last year, I was out on my balcony. I was getting sun. I was down by the pool. I haven't even stopped by the Towers of Colony office to get my pool pass yet.
right.
And I walk by that, but I'm like, I don't need it yet. And then it just keeps raining. I'm like, well, see, I can't go over there.
Yeah.
And they also keep opening the pool later and later every year. Now it's opening up at 11. And then eventually it'll be noon, which I get it. Like why pay someone to sit there when no one's coming there, But yeah, so that's a weird thing. Like I was getting way more sun this time last year, and I've been a vampire still, unless I'm just walking to the gym. So I don't know. I think it'll get better, maybe. Or maybe it's just going to be a tropical, wet summer.
There was, I want to say it was either 2022 or 2023, where what was happening was the weekdays were great weather, like amazing weather every weekday. As soon as Friday night hit through like Sunday, rain. And this was like the entirety of summer where everyone, like the weather was great overall. Like it would be like high 70s and the 80s Monday through Friday. And then as soon as it was like weekend, cool, I'm not working, I got time off work, it was raining.
Yeah,
so I hope we don't get another one of those again. I'm cool with it raining during the week. That's fine. But on the weekends, I need at least a little bit of good weather.
Yeah. Let it rain like when we're already in Barbell Club or something.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go. I don't know. Because I still want to walk over there and walk back, get my steps. This was my biggest steps month. 333,034 steps. This is the first time I've cracked the 300,000 mark. And so many days were 10K plus. And I had two 20K plus days. One of those 20 plus K days, I was at like 17. I'm like, what are you not going to walk around and get another 3K to make it 20? But so, yeah, it's just getting easier and easier to hit 7K, where it's like I'm just automatically just ramping it up and it'll be like a 12K day, especially when I'm coaching at the gym. If I walk there and back, that's at least 2K. So if I've done 3K by the time I leave the house, my 5K, then all my coaching and everything else just kind of wraps it up.
Yeah.
So I need good weather just for the steps, but I would also I would sacrifice my steps if it meant nice warm weekend days too. I would like dry weather. I don't want the humidity. I don't want it. It already feels like it's going to be a sticky, gross kind of maybe June. I don't know.
Yep. So. Yeah, we'll see.
So yesterday we had our coaches meeting for May, and so far we've had a coaches meeting every month. I think it's been good. I think once a month has been plenty. We're working on different things all the time. We didn't get to everything that I wanted yesterday just because the whiteboard brief thing kind of just took longer than I thought. But I should have expected we would have longer conversations about it.
Yeah.
But what we did yesterday was you each had a workout. We put it on the board, and then we filmed you giving the whiteboard brief. And I know it was kind of last minute. I sent out the itinerary way too late for this month. But I think it's a good exercise to film yourself, or at least record yourself, like with your audio. Like, what am I saying? And am I repeating myself? Do I have filler words? Do I have distracting things that even when I'm listening to it, I'm like, why? I don't even know where I'm going with this, or I'm distracting myself. So it's just good to hear yourself back. And what I've done in the past is I'll just have my phone in my pocket. And as I'm walking over, telling everyone to come into the board, I'll hit record, put it in my pocket. And then afterwards, when it's time to warm up, hit the record button. And then on my drive home or later on that night, I'll listen to it back and be like, yeah, that didn't make any sense the way you said that. It's like, but in the moment, you don't get why it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You kind of have to become a third party and sit back and take your own whiteboard brief. I know you guys all hated it. No one likes to hear their voice back, but it is a good way to build confidence, I think. Like if you see yourself, because you guys have all heard yourself speaking. And I think Josh even talked about this a little bit on just like he's finally comfortable with the way his voice sounds. Like the next thing is to see yourself and to see your mannerisms and whatnot and be like, yeah, why do I stand like this with my arms folded the whole time and I look upset or something like that. So what were your thoughts on the drill?
Well, it's interesting because we talked about it, I think, the week before with regards to me officiating that wedding, and we were talking about overall just the practice of public speaking. And I don't think I hate cameras in terms of I hate looking at myself. So there was that aspect. I definitely wouldn't look in the direction of the camera. But I think as a practice type of thing, because I've been talking out loud a little bit more, I feel more comfortable with the whiteboard brief. I was actually watching, there's another weightlifter that lives in the city. She like films content every now and then, like nothing big or anything, but she posted something of she films herself on camera every day, whether she's talking, whether she's just walking around, just to like feel more comfortable with having like the camera on her. And I was thinking about that similarly, one to this, where I hate looking at myself on camera or like knowing that I'm on camera, but similarly to the way that we were talking about just speaking out loud more often. When I read out loud. And when you do that, the practice becomes way easier.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with us.
Yeah, it's like it's not the next step. They kind of blur together. It's just another tool on being able to see the visual now, to know and to understand your own body language and to understand what you're doing up there. And I think it also feels like there's more eyes on you than there actually are. Like even though there were only 3 of us there watching you, that camera like adds another 15 people, and even though no one is going to see it but you, like we all experienced it in the moment, then I'm going to text it to you and like no one else is going to see it. But then you can also comb through that video and be like, I didn't say any scaling options. I didn't ask for injuries. I didn't say how to break this up or any sets or reps or give any kind of other expectations on the workout. And the thing is, not all of that stuff needs to be in every whiteboard brief, and every whiteboard brief is different, right? Like look at the Filthy 50 yesterday. There's 10 movements, 50 reps each. It would take you a while just to go through line by line, 50 box jumps. Then we're going to do 50 jumping pull-ups. So it's like you can kind of shorthand your whiteboard brief conversation and be like, hey, we have 10 movements we're doing today, 50 reps each. Boom. That takes like not a lot of words, and that's it. They can read what's on the board. And I think sometimes we forget that like our clients can read, and they're also probably reading it before they're actually tuning in to listen to you. Yeah. So like there's some workouts or whiteboard briefs where you can almost like experiment with like, I'm just going to say, all right, here's the workout. We got 5 rounds, this many reps of these movements, and then just start talking into like maybe like logistics and a couple important scaling things, and then move on. And then boom, you're on to moving, especially if you're going to layer in other things during the class. Yeah. And that's where you can also, have you ever caught yourself like re-giving the whiteboard brief after you already gave it earlier? And you're like, wait a minute, I already said this, or maybe, and that should maybe make you think, did I need to say it there if I was going to say it here?
Yeah.
Kind of a deal. Like sometimes you can get carried away with like, all right, we're going to set the room up this way. We're going to do all these scaling options. When you're doing this movement, make sure your pinkies are out, blah, blah. But it's like, are you going to say that anyways when we get to that step? Then just make that the first thing when we're there, Just what are the big important pieces you need to cover, and then move on and get them moving, right? Because they're there to move. The longer the time keeps ticking, you're starting to lose them. And now they've already read the workout. They've listened to you a little bit. Now they're dilly-dallying and their brain is going elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's just some people who, no matter what you do, no matter how fast it is, no matter how long it is, no matter how much detail, all that stuff, they are never going to pay attention or listen, or they're going to, So it's a skill on its own that you adapt from class to class, and you just kind of have to discern what is the important need out of this right now.
Yeah.
And then, for the scaling options, or even like demoing, it's like, hey, when we get to the sumo deadlift high pull, I'm going to demo it there. Like, does it do anyone good to see it right now?
Yep.
And even if you take the CrossFit course that has like the whiteboard brief stuff in it, they in that course, they're like, no, demo at the board. All right, we're doing muscle ups. Show a muscle up off to the side. Show a deadlift, things like that. But even from then, when they put that course out, I feel like things have changed a little bit. And there is a time and a place to do that. Let's say you have a movement where your whole class is brand new, and you're like, let me just show what a snatch is right now, because that's going to be the first question that comes up. Or maybe you have a new movement that no one's ever done before, like doing back extensions with an ab mat under your stomach.
Yeah.
Or it could be a weird thing, like Josh had Curtis P's yesterday, which is a barbell complex. The first question is like, what's a Curtis P? Because it's written on the board and no one has any idea what that is. You're like, let me just show it now to just get that off. Like that way they'll stop thinking about it. We can move on to something else. Do you think you're going to record yourself more, at least audio wise, or things like that?
It's always something that I thought about. I was going to do, instead of journaling, do that essentially. Like put up a camera, hit record, and just talk whatever comes out, because it's similar to journaling. Sometimes people have a prompt, or sometimes they don't, and they'll just go with what's on my mind. And almost the same way, just you can do it front facing, you can do opposite way. Front facing, then you see yourself as you're doing it, and just record, go for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and see what comes out, see how you are and what you tend to do when you speak. And
Now, this is after the workout or before the workout, or both?
This would probably just be, I would do it in general, like a daily thing.
Okay.
As like, what are my almost like comfort things that you do? Like you said, like crossing your arms, or like, how do I hold myself when I'm speaking? Is there a difference when I'm standing versus when I'm sitting? What direction do I like to lean to? Like, even people have different, I think with the board, most of the time, a lot of people do their whiteboard briefs from either one side of the board or the other.
Yeah.
So different mannerisms like that, and just see what things are kind of like bring you back to your base, and what things you can get rid of, what things you can add in, something like that.
No, I think that's a great idea. And then I guess the next level off of that would be like if you posted it every day, and just like put yourself, like the more you put yourself out there, the more you get out of your comfort zone. Like, all right, Miguel's, captain's log, on today we did this. I think whether it be for yourself or public, I think that's a great thing you can do. And you'll start to see, like, you'll be able to almost like use more of your personality. Like, you're going to slowly draw it out of yourself.
Exactly.
And then it's like, if you go back, we were just talking before, and we're going to talk about it a little more here soon, the old Albany CrossFit YouTube channel. Like, I looked through and I saw some old videos of myself, and I'm like, yeah, I hated being on the camera right now. Absolutely hated it, whether it be demoing a movement or there was a while where I was in charge of doing like an injury prevention series. So I just had to make a video about a new mobility exercise or talking about like the ACF Open that we used to do back in the day and do the explanations. Like you could just tell I'm not happy to be on the camera. And like my whole demeanor is like scrunched in. I'm just like, we're just getting through this right now versus now, no problem being on the camera, you know? Yeah. And like the Spotify has like 7,000 plus views or whatever it is. And so it's like, but it's like, I don't know any of those people, but like people have heard my voice and heard my thoughts and other things. And, you know, I've never gotten an angry email about too many things, you know? Yeah. So it's like, it's all fine. It just puts you out there and you can practice all that stuff. And you know what else helped me a lot kind of get over this? I mean, not just doing the podcast during COVID, but also remember I was doing the whiteboard brief from my house.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I did not like, that was so hard. If you go back to some of the very first ones, we're talking, I would waste like 2 hours of stop the camera, restart it. Yeah. And like trip over a word. Nope. Redo the whole workout, the whole WOD brief. Get to the very end of it. And because I didn't know how to edit the videos either. So and I also wanted to do it in one take. And so or even looking back at it and be like, I don't like the way I was standing there. So and like literally crazy things. And it's like really I should have just done the video, put it out. People would appreciate the videos there. No one's going to notice the little things that I was noticing. Right. Yeah. But it was driving me crazy. So I would like burn so much time making those videos. And then it got easier towards the end. But yeah, it was awful setting up a tripod in front of myself or my desk, have the thing there, and then having to do those videos. Absolutely awful. It took so much time that it shouldn't have. So yeah, and I've actually like there were times where I debate about going back and deleting all of them, but I'm like, no, I can't do that because they're there for learning, you know. And I was thinking about like this concept of that's why the podcast is called Days of Future Past. It's like you have like a blending of the future and the past, and like being able to look, and also X-Men, of course, but to look back and like actually learn from what you've done or what other people have done, and then bring it forward, maybe even bring back some of those ideas and make them part of the present. You know, I think it's all an important part, whether you're an athlete, a coach, or anyone, just in your development on not kind of shying away from the past because you're embarrassed by it. Yeah. And even still, when I was looking through the YouTube channel last night, I was like, I should go back and delete those videos just because there's still like a little thing in the back of my head. I don't like the portrayal of James McDermott in that video, but like, I'm also not him anymore. Yeah. Like that's like a different guy. I'm not him anymore. So it's so weird. Do you have anything like that you look back and you're like, I would get rid of it, but you know what? That's a different guy. That's not Miguel now. Like Miguel now is so different.
I am very much the same. Yeah, I was actually explaining this I had a friend in town yesterday, and we were talking about just high school. I think we're at our 10 year. And we were talking about, I don't think we're going to have a reunion, but they were just talking about the idea. And we were talking about how some people have changed so much since high school and some people haven't. And yeah, my thing was overall, I'm still the exact same. I think I just became more of myself. And kind of like what you were saying, how the camera kind of like muted you into like this version. But I'm very much just, if I was here in high school, I've just become more of that, where it's like, there's no shame in anything that I do now. I'm just like, yeah, that's what I do. Like, even if something's cringy or whatever, I'm like, I find myself very funny and I think I'm very smart. So I just say stuff. So, but yeah, I think looking back, that maybe there are some moments where you just see where maybe you were trying to be something else, but anything that I see of myself from before that seemed authentic, I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, yeah, you just kind of see the growth of like, oh yeah, that's very much the same person. It's just a more evolved version, I guess you could say. But yeah, I would say anything going back that seemed like I was trying to be something else or like following a trend or something like that, I would maybe want to get rid of. But otherwise, I think, you can always archive stuff and then bring it back whenever,
I feel like if I was young now and like doing all the TikTok trends, I would in 10 years I would delete them all. Like I would be,
Yeah.
all right, I don't need I mean, and I'm talking about like those little like 15-second clips of where they're like doing a dance like maybe with like a friend you're doing like some kind of trend thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad I don't do that or never did or plan to. That kind of a thing. But it's well, like you said, it's good to like once you pretty much learn how to bring out almost your personality of how you would be with people you're really close to like out into like your overall reactions or interactions. That's how you can like be better, like so many of us, like you're like one way with your friends, like, and then when you get in like another setting, you're kind of more restricted. And I don't mean that in like being like some people are maybe more derogatory with their friends and then they're just behaved when they're around other public. But there's not that. There's like your actual true self, your personality. And so it's like, like you perceive yourself as being very funny, but like what that's going to draw out of you is you're having a really good time. So if you can use that superpower when you're coaching classes, you're having a really good time. It's like during Memorial Day Murph, I was having a really good time, and I told you, I think you or Shaf afterwards, I'm like, the jokes are killing today. I mean, because I mean, like one, people were laughing, but I was having I felt so loose that I was just saying stuff, like just and it's not like I'm trying to be funny. I'm just trying to have a good time with you. So like whoever that like random person is, like Jay Fun, in front of me. All right, I haven't like had a class with him in a really long time, but he and I have like a rapport and we've known each other since 2011. So it's like, it's like so easy to talk to him and joke with him and say anything. And I know he's not going to be offended or anything like that because he was also part of Albany CrossFit back in the really old days. It just lets you be loose. The looser you are, the better. Instead of being uptight, I'm like, we got to do that. I'd rather be uptight about like the things I'm like, why is that kettlebell there? Like, do you want to trip over it? Like, I don't understand. Like that's the things to be uptight over, the safety things. It's a great drill, and a new challenge has come up out of this whole thing. Even though Shaf's workout was the Filthy 50, we decided to add it to next Saturday's programming, which Josh coaches that class. But it's a workout that I don't think any of you guys have coached. Like,
no.
Yet, right? Boy, we spent 40 minutes working on just talking about it and a really rough outline for Josh on a lesson plan. Isn't it amazing how many variables you have to think about on a workout like that? Like some workouts are a little more simple, like you had a workout today that you programmed 4 rounds for time, 15 toes to bar, 15 front squats with 135, 95, and then 15 bar facing burpees. 3 movements, 1 pull-up bar, 1 gymnastic, and a barbell. Okay, there's a lot to consider there. But with the Filthy 50, there's 10 movements, and they all they kind of flow together, but they also don't. They kind of get in each other's way. It's a really old school way of programming. I bet you if it was programmed today for the first time, the order of those exercises would have to be different. And it wouldn't have been an empty bar. That's just. And also, I noticed I got the weight wrong. I wrote 53.35. It's actually 35 is the men's RX weight.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I got to double check it. But the videos I was looking at, I'm like, are they using 35 pounds? But it's a really old school CrossFit workout. This is pre-2010. Who knows when this workout came out? So there's so much to think about. And we kept finding, how do I want to say, death traps or like a little
Yeah.
obstacle.
Yep.
Kind of like with, okay, we need plates to do the jumping pull-ups. But now those plates are going to be in the way for the knees to elbow later on. Your athletes need to know that they need to move it. If you don't tell them to move it, they're not going to move it. They're going to be doing their knees to elbow with a stack of plates right underneath their ankles and hitting them or shuffling off to the side, getting each other's ways. Then if they move the plates, where do they move the plate? Like there's so much if this, then that. And also the workout's going to take 25 minutes and we need to have time to do everything. We want to fit it within an hour. And boy, it was a challenge, right?
Yep.
See, the thing is, it's like we're taking the time to do all that because we want everyone to have a good experience.
Yeah.
Could you run the Filthy 50 and not have thought about any of that and just kind of deal with it as it comes up? Like, all right, everyone get your stuff, just put it down. We warm up, we do it. Class runs over. Everyone does the full thing. It took you an hour. It took me 18 minutes. That was kind of maybe more the old school way. But we can offer a better experience for people, right? And then set them up for a good performance still and have standards on things. What are your thoughts on that versus like, are we overthinking it or are we doing just enough? Well, what do you think on this whole thing?
No, yeah, I think you're right with like giving the class the best experience is in preparation, is in thought behind it. That's why honestly I've been enjoying these them not programming Sundays anymore, because I'm like, oh yeah, these are my workouts. Either if I'm picking one that already exists or creating my own, either way, I'm like, I chose this, so I had a reason that I chose this, and I want this out of it. And you're able to kind of convey that to the class as well. And yeah, by giving class the best experience, it's getting stuff set beforehand so that half of their class isn't just them going back and forth and grabbing equipment and feeling very clunky and waiting for other people to get across the room and grab equipment while they're already back and, just going back and forth. That's kind of what you end up remembering. And you're like, all right, now we have to rush and start the workout. We don't have time to like work on this or that. We just got to go. And then it's a rush out of there as well because we have another class or it's 10:30 and class is supposed to end at 10 and, everyone has to rush out. You can't talk and hang out because you're just like, oh, I got to go. So yeah, being very intentional about the class and what that means for everyone attending class. I think that, yeah, we're definitely doing the appropriate amount of thought beforehand.
And we owe it to them, right? I mean, like, come on, they're paying a membership to come. They're told to look at you as the professional that has their health, safety, goals, everything in their hands and whatnot. And like, so you should prep. You should think about things for them. And I know we go off on our tangents on like, they're not going to listen. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. That's part of it. You got to do that. You got to vent it out a little bit, but that's between us, that's all between us. And then we also use that to talk through things to try to make it better for the future. Because remember, all those things that frustrate us, at some point, you could probably thread it right back to you yourself. I'm like, well, you allowed it to happen. Mm-hmm. You didn't tell them what to do with their plates after the jumping pull-ups. You didn't tell them where to put your jump rope. I thought that was great that Josh was like, you know what? I'm going to put up hooks on the rig. That's where your jump rope goes. Because the jump rope is 50 double unders, which is nothing these days.
Yeah.
At the very end of the workout. So you have this one loose piece of equipment that just has to hang out while you do 9 other movements, and then you use it at the very end. And for some people, it might be 50 single unders. And so get it out of the way. You got to think about, where am I going to put all these things? Boxes. If you have an assistant, like when the last time I taught the Filthy 50, Schaff was assisting me, and it was a big class. And I'm pretty sure that class I had more than 12 people. That was because you're always going to get that on some of these workouts where people are like, it just draws them in. That's a workout where you might get 13 people. I'm almost debating about putting on an email, being like, no cap on Saturday. Everyone come on it. Just to challenge Josh even more. And I'm going to come and watch it and evaluate him too. I haven't told him that yet. I'm not going to tell him that. We'll see how he adapts, right? You got to adapt to the challenges. Yeah. I mean, hey, at this point, we're in June. The games is in 2 months pretty much. So what do you do on Saturday if Dave Castro walks in? Now, not that he's the most special person ever, but I guarantee if he walked into any of our classes, you'd be a little nervous. You'd be like, oh, it's just different, right? It's a different face. But he's just there for a workout. He's not being like, all right, Miguel's got the box. Like, he's just there to work out. But you might put more on that than what's actually happening. And that can happen in any situation, right? So you just got to be, if you have a solid plan and you have full control of your class, it doesn't matter who walks in. Yeah. You're just like, hey, Dave, put your box there. Hey, this, we had a new drop in kind of come in, and he had his bag in the room. And I'm like, hey, can you put your bag in the hallway? And he's like, well, I'm going to be pulling stuff out of it. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I'd still prefer, things that aren't stuff we're using to be in the hall, and that was it, he still could have said no. We could have pushed it further, but like, hey, this is my room. I just told you what I want to have happen right now. I don't want that. But like, you have to be comfortable to do that, and I'm not doing it to be a pain or anything. It's just like, we're going to be on the walls. We're doing handstand work, doing all this stuff. Like, why do we have this backpack here? Like, how much equipment do you need, And also, I remember back when no one had equipment. So like, there's still like that old thing in the back of my head. It's like, how about you just go, just get up there, just grab it type of a deal. Which it's good to have that mindset, but it's also good to evolve it a little bit too. Yeah. Like, you understand, all right, yeah, I know we tear and things like that. That's why you have your grips. But yeah, so the Filthy 50, what a challenge. We literally spent 40 minutes in a group, and Josh is going to draw a diagram where he wants everything to be. He's going to come in early that day unless he gets attacked by his dog again. And he's going to draw that diagram on the board. So now in that situation, let's say I had a diagram on the board and the Filthy 50 written on there too. I would stand in front of the diagram and give the whiteboard brief on the workout. That way I'm blocking the other thing they might be looking at, and then might point that and ask a question about it, even though you're not there yet. And that's happened to me before. When I've had a diagram on the board and the whole board is exposed, I'll be going through these things and be on a topic, and someone will be like, so do I put my kettlebell next to the rower? And I'm like, why are you asking me that right now? Like, are you even paying attention to what I'm saying? I already know you're not, but that's why I'll use my body to block parts of the board that I don't want us to be on yet. Have you, I don't know how elaborate your boards have been. Sometimes I'll do that too, standing in front of the results from earlier in the day. That way, when I say I want this done in 6 to 10 minutes, and they're like, well, look, that guy got it done in 15 minutes. You're not that guy. Yeah. You're not that guy. I don't know what happened earlier in the day, but I'm telling you what's going to happen in this class right now. But they're reading other things. They're really reading every score on the board while you're talking about like, hey, we need these toes to bar to be done in 1 to 3 sets, and then they're going to miss that part. And that's actually how you end up finishing in 15 minutes instead of 6 to 10 minutes. I mean, I think the thing too, sometimes you're doing the whiteboard brief and then all of a sudden you're like, this isn't a conversation. Yeah. Let me finish, and then I'll say, do you have any questions? Like, let me get through it before, and sometimes it's like, it depends on how it comes up. Sometimes it's just ignoring. And then other times it's like, I'll get to that. All right, we're here. And then now what you were saying, or like, now, does anyone have any questions? Cool. Say what you said again. All right. That's what we were going through this. But yeah, sometimes you're like, whoa, guys, this isn't a call and response. Yeah. We're not there yet. I was listening to a stand-up comedy routine actually earlier today. And he's like, and if you have anything to say to me, do all these things. And he listed a bunch of bad things. But he's like, it's rhetorical. I'm not talking to you directly. You came, you're facing my direction. I'm speaking at you, but I don't need to know what your thoughts are on it. And I don't care, and it's like, our people know, even if they know at the end, all of us, I don't think there's not one of us that doesn't say, are there any questions? Now's the time. The floor is open.
Right.
Yet you'll still get the interruptions. But that's just humans. You're dealing with humans. You have to remember this, and they're excited too, or they have concerns. And it's funny how even though you can work with the same people for so long, they may have concerns that like, oh, well, maybe he's going to forget about me today, or he's not going to hold me or have me today. Like, have you ever noticed that where it's like, I always got your back, but it's like, you never remember that I have your back, funny stuff. So your whiteboard brief was on the Air Force WOD. And as I was looking for the Filthy 50 video that I was looking for, which I haven't found it yet, there's a specific video that I'm looking for. And I realized yesterday that there are so many YouTube accounts. Like, I always tend to remember everything as being on the Albany CrossFit YouTube account, but also Kevin, the coach back in the day, had his own YouTube account. Then I saw Austin had his own YouTube account. Then there's some weird ACF demo WOD YouTube account as well that has some demos. So it's like there's so many YouTube accounts, because that's when everybody was creating them and everyone wanted their own. So I'm still trying to find that one where there was 3 people in it instead of just the 2. But I showed you guys the video of the Filthy 50 and also the Air Force WOD. And remember, I said a way to kind of think about how long that workout should take was to kind of view each of those 20 reps as a minute. And then that would be 5 minutes right there. And then maybe you would expect the burpees are done within the first 20 seconds, which really 20 seconds for 4 burpees is really slow. And then you'd have the rest of that time to either get halfway or finish a movement completely. Yeah. So that workout can definitely be done in less than 5 minutes. That was just like, if you were just going to try to figure out a baseline of, all right, 5 minutes in the most perfect world in an athlete who's horsing through it, it takes them 5 minutes. Then you can expand your time frame above that, and then even maybe a little below it, or you can just kind of shift it over to the kind of where the current community is right now. Were you surprised when you saw that he did it in 3:46, sub 4?
In a way, but then again, like you said, like in the context of, even when you said it yesterday, it almost brought it back to me where I was like, oh yeah, everyone was racing. Especially if you had people who like knew that they were coming in at the same class. Like, I was even talking to some people at the gym yesterday about like, yeah, just text each other. If you want to go to the same class, like text each other and then plan to go, yes, this person gets out of work earlier than you, but if you both want to go to class at the same time, then just have one person go later, text each other, go, okay, we're going to this workout. This is the workout we're going to. And then we're racing, like something like that.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that you have to suggest that you talk to each other?
But it's like, it's so, yeah.
There are so many instances in the gym where I assume they're talking to each other,
right?
But they're actually not communicating at all. And it blows my mind. I'm like, all right. I don't get it. Like, I don't know how you guys aren't actually on a thread all day, just chatting about stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we've even had the moments where I would like look at a workout and I'd be like, am I going to leave work directly at 5 to try to get there for 5:15? And I'm like, who signed up? And like, you're looking throughout the day and you're like, man, and then you're like, whatever, I'll reserve my spot. And the second you reserve your spot, you check back in 5 minutes, like 3 more people have reserved because they're like, I was waiting for your name to pop up. But you're like, we could have just said that, that we both want to do this workout. And, but yeah, bring it all the way back to that. It's, that race mentality of look at who's around you. If the goal is to race, which sometimes that should be the goal. Sometimes it's like, let's just get a good workout in. Let's work on this. Let's work on that. But some days it's good to just have the mindset of like, I'm going to race this. I'm going to attack it and I might crash and burn. But yeah, I think in order to get that workout done in under 4 minutes, you have to be willing to like, this could all be a mistake. And this under 4 turns into 8 very quickly.
I think we have too many people afraid to make those mistakes. Like, oh, I don't want to use them all. Oh, I'm going to burn them out or anything. And I'm like, fine, that's fine. On Elizabeth the other day, someone said, how should I break up the cleans or something like that? And I'm like, just start cleaning. Like, you'll find out. It's totally, I tell that to classes a lot. It's totally okay depending on the workout. And Elizabeth is a great one. Find out on rep 17 that you had to drop it and then finish out the remaining 4, after a really short break. Like don't purposely do 7-7-7. You're going to slow down if you do that. That's 3 breaks.
The same mistake on Elizabeth, I think 3 separate times.
With the dips or the cleans?
Which is the dips, yeah. Where it's like ending on the 9, and I'm like, I think I'll miss like 9 reps out of like, I'll do like 1 and be like, I can get a second, and then miss it and then continue on. But it's like, again, I was telling people from the gym yesterday, I find it so fun as a coach to see people fail reps, not in a like, oh, that was dangerous, but like in a, you went for an extra one after you were like, ooh, that last one was tough. Let me see if I can push through this last one. And you don't get it. Cause I'm like, good. Now you're finding what your actual limit is, at least in the moment. Like, we always give ourselves these same numbers to break things up in, and we're super safe with it. And we're like, yeah, I think that was good. I think I worked hard, but like, and prove it to yourself.
And it's important to, as a coach, like if you were trying to like make people better, and trying to push people, to do the intensity that they're actually capable of, right? It's important, like it's very helpful, maybe not important, but it's helpful to look at an old video like that and be like, oh yeah, I remember getting after it. Yep. I remember, like, because it used to be like that all the time. And of course, you'd have people who would go a little slower, things like that. But like, it's important to remind yourself of what like a hard effort on a Metcon actually looks like. And of course, in the video is Ian Dempsey. He was on the regional team back at the time when we had a regional team. So he was going to school to be a surgeon and training CrossFit all day, and extremely dedicated. I remember I don't know if they must still be around. I think in Whole Foods, Paleo Kit, are they still around? You can get like a fruit meat nut pack, dry freezed or whatnot, and you would eat that. We had paleo kits all over the gym, and we had the paleo bars and the crumble. It was like a cinnamon crumble thing. Some people ate it like cereal. But he had one of those one day. He's like, this is my snack for later. And he's like, I don't eat any junk food, no sugar, no nothing. And like, look at him in the video, like he performs well, he looked well, and he went to the regionals, for building up to the CrossFit Games. But he was completely dedicated. So it's like, when you're, I don't know, you tell me what you think about this. When you stop being around people like that, it kind of shifts your focus on like, all right, let's get through the WOD. All right, that's what everyone can do. Let's pace it. Let's break it here. Let's be safe. Let's be comfortable. Let's do things like that. I guess question number 1 to you: do you think that can make you a lesser coach on just like not being around that too much and kind of getting stuck into like a different mindset?
Right. I would say it's the getting stuck. Because when you have the wider breadth of athletes, you're constantly having to, even in one class, where you're like, I have to coach this for everyone. Yeah. I have to make sure I'm coaching everyone in the best way for them. I can't just say, it's the same thing as like cueing individually versus cueing just yelling something into the room. So I think having those different athletes is really important, because your mindset has to be like, this is what this person wants. This is what this person wants. We're all doing the same workout, so it should be the same kind of stimulus, but this is what moves this person. This is what moves this person.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I know for me, like, and I'm trying to phrase this in like the nicest ways possible. Yeah. Like there's no malice, or there's no like anything. I'm just trying to like think through the process, because this is kind of a situation. And like, since I remember that, you know. And also, I mean, remember, there's the everyday people around him too.
Yeah.
But I remember that. It doesn't always daunt me when Cap is like, the workout should be done in 7 to 11 minutes. It's like, yeah, that's how you do it. Like, so the people that I'm telling that to, they may have never seen an example of someone that can move that way, you know, and the closest people who can move that way are probably Mike and yourself, you know, and get pretty close to that. So I remember that, and so I'm okay with it. And then I'm trying to scale people down to be able to get that kind of intensity.
Yeah.
But then it's also difficult where no matter how you scale people down, they're in like a pacing mindset, because there was a point in CrossFit when this virus went into the ecosystem, I guess CompTrain virus, we're going to just pace everything. We're going to game everything. That's how you get to be like Ian, is by pacing and strategic breakups and this and that. But it's like, he was just going. He had a coach in his face. You see how close Jay was to the camera? It's like right in his face. And he's like, don't put it down. You're doing unbroken. Go from the overhead squats into the front squats, you know, and like he didn't do that, but boy, was he trying, you know, do the thrusters unbroken. The expectation, like, oh my God, can you imagine if you put down the bar in the thrusters, like on the other side of the camera?
Right.
I'll put it like, so, but it's like, there's so much emphasis on gaming things. And that came in around 2012, 2013, where all of a sudden people wanted to put their hands all the way out here for handstand push-ups because there weren't standards. So they're trying to see how they could skirt things as much as possible, or weird rep scheme breakups. I'm going to do 13, then I'm going to do 9, then I'll do 11. Like, it's like, just go, like, just go, be a beast, attack it. So it's just weird to, like, I don't know, actually not weird. It can be disappointing sometimes where you're like, man, no one wants to get after it today. You know, no matter what I say, no matter how we scale this, no matter how we do it, everyone's attacking this workout that should be a 5-minute workout like they're pacing a 20-minute AMRAP. And it's like, man, you know. And then there were times during Albany CrossFit where people hated the shorter workouts or the intense workouts. But if you programmed like a very simple 30-minute thing, like there was also this wave of people that just wanted to do long and slow and be with their thoughts and blah, blah, blah. And like, let me get a sip of water and this and that. And it's like, but then those same people are like, why aren't I getting better? Why aren't I fit like Miguel or Mike or the same people? And it's like, you're not working hard enough. You're not. And like, even though you may not be able to lift those weights or do those gymnastics exercises, there's still a way we can work harder and get after it and cycle faster. It's like, all right, if we way back at the beginning of the year, I did that front squat, burpee over the bar, something else, deadlift workout. And I scaled it to keep pace with you and Mike. And we finished around the same time. Had I done more reps for the sake of doing more reps, I would have added like 3 or 4 minutes to my time. But I scaled it down, and then I was just looking out of the corner of my eye to try to stay with you guys, and our times are very close. That was the correct dose for the day. If you guys are getting done in 8 minutes, why in the world am I spending 15 minutes doing it? Like, I'm doing a whole different thing, and I'm feeling good about myself because I did all the reps. But really, what's better is I did half the reps to just try to fight to stay on pace. Oh crap! Miguel's picking up the bar. All right, I got here. Let me try to beat him off the bar now. You know, like, it's just different mindsets. Like, how do you think we can bring more of that? It comes back down to the scaling and expectations, right?
I don't know, and it's definitely something. I mean, even last year on this podcast, we had the conversation about redlining and the benefit of that, and I always make it a personal thing. And so I always say, oh, I have to do more classes. That's always what it comes down to. And then I was like, I have to do more classes, and I have to be a little bit more reckless in those classes. Obviously, because I do barbell club, like sometimes I show up beat up and I'm like, I can only do this, or like I have to game this workout to kind of get through it. But yeah, I honestly do think you just have to see it to be like, oh, that's what that is. Like I need to be doing workouts and then dying, and they need to see me in great pain. And then they're like, oh, is that a thing that's possible, that we can't move after we do the filthy 50 or something like that? And yeah, you have to see intensity to know intensity. And a lot of these people also, not everyone did sports. So they haven't unlocked that like part of their brain either. So you kind of have to see it and then dip your toe into it and go, oh, that's how that feels. And then eventually you can repeat that.
Yeah. And I think, like I don't remember what sports. Ian definitely had to have played sports or something like that. Just like with his build and athleticism in those workouts. But it's like I guess it's also like there's so many people that like where you're like, all right, even on this AMRAP, the goal is to get 5 to 8 rounds. They're gonna get 3, and it's like like just trying to get people to hit the stimulus, which oftentimes means doing way less weight. It's like I said on Air Force, you program that workout, people are gonna the guys specifically that are gonna want to do 75 because they do know 95 is a little too heavy for them, should be doing 65.
Yep.
There's some kind of a weird stigma on 65 for some reason. It always ends up being 75, and you can always tell it's just a smidge too heavy. And it's not that it's also maybe too heavy physically, but it's in the midst of the workout, you just don't have that edge to hold on to 75. You're gonna put it down, but 65 you could have pushed. You see people just check out mentally. They hit the emergency button all the time instead of, like you said, go for that extra rep or two, and maybe you fail it. So it's trying to get those people that are always just under the stimulus. And the thing is, like, scale them way back, drop that box height down. I know you're slow on box jumps. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing letting you be on that box being slow? Why not make it a 16-inch box and go faster and explain to you, I want you to go really fast today. Yeah. The other day during Elizabeth, that's a workout where someone like Nyla, shout out Nyla if she's listening, can do 95 on the cleans. But I was like, are you going to go unbroken on the 95s? You should. And I think she went unbroken. We went 85. I said, no, don't do. Because the thing is, like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. You've never done Elizabeth before. You don't know this kind of hurt on the cleans. And you're still maybe a little sore from Memorial Day, where you just did the mile for the first time and the full reps for the first time.
Yep.
But it's like, you know what? We're going to do Elizabeth again. Show me a fast 85, and then we'll build up from that. And she broke on the 15s. And I'm like, that right there tells me that we made the right choice. Yeah. Had we gone 95, you would have broke at least once on the 21s and probably 2 to 3 times on the 15s, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then maybe we don't have a chance to go unbroken on the 9s. And if you're really doing Elizabeth, boy, I think I've done like a scaled, like a 3-minute Elizabeth or something like that. And it doesn't, whenever I've like met the stimulus on like close to like what an Ian can do on some of those benchmark workouts, because I scaled it way back, it doesn't mean it didn't hurt. Yep. It hurt in just a different way, probably the way it's supposed to hurt, where you're like, oh my gosh, that's what Fran's supposed to feel like. Like the first time you actually do like a sub 5 Fran versus like a 9-minute Fran, because your scaling was a little not, where it needed to be. You feel the difference on that, right?
Yeah.
I've done with ring rows and I think a 75-pound bar. I did maybe around a 240 something Fran for one of the ACF regionals, or not regionals, open, when we were doing those. Because that was the first of the year thing. And I did ring rows, and then I did the 75 pounds on the bar, because this is when I was deep in my weightlifting. So like that wasn't hard to do. Yeah. And but it destroyed me way more than when I've done 95 and pull-ups back when I was just doing CrossFit, but I got that done in like 9 minutes, you know? Like I was never able to do RX Fran, sub 5. But that was like the first time, and it's like you just feel the fire just coming out of your throat, and you're like, oh gosh, that's awful. Or when I've done less on the pull-ups, the 12.96 or whatever it was, and I'm like, my arms are jello now, just trying to go up to the pull-up bar. So it's like just scaling things back to try to hit it on how it's actually supposed to feel, and hitting the time parameters. It's so important, and that's kind of one of my, I guess, a new coaching summer goal, because I've been like hitting my other coaching goals of like, all right, I want to make sure I can finish on time, which I think my ratio so far for the year is pretty good. There have been many moments where like you don't hit it, but like hitting on time and then writing all the scores on the board. There are like maybe 3 times I missed the board. So, but I think now I think my goal for the summer is to scale people ridiculously, because their normal scaling, especially after going back in time, is like, it's too much. It's not enough. Like we're not going fast enough. We're not getting enough rounds and reps. And that's what I want. I'm sick and tired of 3 to 4 rounds on a workout where I told everybody 6 to 8 rounds is the goal.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with it. So that's kind of my summer goal, is to just scale the shit out of it. And then, all right, tell me how it was. Because like, all right, if you normally would have got 3 rounds, you got 6 rounds. All right, that could be the difference between 60 reps or 120 reps on wall balls. I think that it'll work itself out, right?
Yeah, because it's like, again, going back to Air Force, imagine you do that with 45 pounds. Yeah. Like you grab let's say a 25-pound barbell and you put the 10s on. Like now do it. Because then you have to make a decision where you're finished with the thrusters and you're like, I still have a few more seconds before my next set of burpees. Do I just quickly bring this down and start my sumo deadlift high pulls? Like if you can start the next movement within the same minute, like how does that change everything? And once you're able to do that, you're like, oh, that was insane. Now the next time I do it, I up the weight a little bit. But now I felt what it feels like to do that extremely fast.
Yeah. Yep. And telling people, hey, this workout, 6-minute workout, you don't need to stop for water during this workout. Grab a sip before we start.
Yeah.
Oh, but then also being like, hey, how about you drink water throughout the whole rest of the freaking day? Like, come on now. Like, come on. And then, maybe starting to have more conversations on nutrition with people, because that was a bigger thing back in the day. And then I was just remembering, talking to Ian back when, upstairs where the Hope banner is.
Yeah.
That used to be the office. So that little nook, there was like a desk back there and there was a couch up there. And that whole little hallway was like an office and all of our stuff was up there. So I remember I was up there one day and then he was just walking by nibbling on a paleo kit. And he's like, I had never tried one before. And he's like, yeah, this is my snack. It's like these other guys. And then he's like, because they all eat ice cream and stuff like that. Yeah. He's like, I don't eat ice cream or whatnot. I care about what the whole thing. He's like, everything that comes into here is only good stuff, but that's the mindset he had, so it's like remembering the old mindsets is important every now and then. Otherwise you kind of get stuck in the new mindset or just the new way of whatever everything is. Like with strength, I'm so used to what you guys do in Barbell Club that like you get very numb to it on like, this is how people move. You're around strong people all the time. And then I go to like a meet and I'm like, man, what's going on? Like, what's going on here? Wow. All right. Maybe they're new. And then you're like, oh no, this is like, they've been around for a while. I'm like, they just don't train like us, or things like that. Or you see people on the CrossFit side and you're like, all right, let's rein this back in. Or you see where you guys would have pushed, but they bailed on the bar, things like that.
Again, like rowing, we were talking about the competition that they did too. And they were saying like, oh, I think it was the photographer was like coming around and was like, wow, you guys like look great when you're rowing. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, guys, compared to every other gym I've ever been to, like our rowing is so different. even like as high rocks, we were talking about high rocks too, as that's becoming bigger of a thing, seeing these like people with like close to world records for high rocks and seeing them get on the rower and going, oh my gosh, you don't even know how much faster you could do this whole thing if you just rode better.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah.
That is one thing where and it was with other movements too. Like you go other play or like to an event or something, you see people squatting and stuff like that. But then like you'll see our people and you're like, making me proud right now.
Yeah.
Like, man, look at that. Look at like we just have things from our gym that we're really, really strong in, you know. But I think the thing that we could probably be stronger in is like the intensity or that mental game to pair it with great movement.
For sure.
I stumbled upon on the old YouTube channel. I was on it way too long yesterday. The old Albany CrossFit warm up. So it was. So this was back in the day where the business tagline was Albany CrossFit. Our warm up is your workout, and that was a big thing in CrossFit. So like there'd be like a commercial, and it would just go out there and be like, "Yeah, we work harder than everybody else." The warm up was 3 rounds, 500-meter row, 10 overhead squats with a PVC pipe. 15 pull-ups, 15 dips, 15 back extensions, 15 GHD sit-ups, then a 15 or 30-second Samson lunge hold. So that's a ton of reps. You know, that was just to start it, you know. And of course, class was probably different back then, or maybe this is something you did on your own before you did a workout. People would pop in all throughout the day and do a workout. Or like, let's say like it's 2011. You and Mike just show up on your lunch break and like you're going to throw down on Fran or something like that. Like that's how things would go. But you might do this beforehand, you know. And it's like, all right, we're doing Fran, but you're going to do 45 pull-ups before you do 45 pull-ups because you do want to get good at pull-ups, right? Then you should do pull-ups. And then in the video, there's scaling options too. Like, okay, you can't – the overhead squat was just a PVC pipe. But remember, this is all the way back when. Yeah. So, like, the scaling was if you can't do it with a PVC pipe, just do air squats to a ball. You know, like today it might be like do them with a barbell, you know, because people are just better overhead squats.
Yeah.
There was also a series of HTFU workouts, and there was the HTFU crew, and HTFU harden the F up was the philosophy. And there was what so you would go through like I guess to be in the crew in initiation, you had to do this with this workout to be in it. We should bring back something like this. But the one video I saw was run a mile, do dumbbell Fran with 40s, and then do a 200-meter prowler push right after that.
Nice.
That was harden the F up, you know. I'm just like do something like, and there were also so many old like workouts where like they were just like really hard, or like Pain Storm was the name of them, and it's just like, yeah, you can do hard things. Like the community didn't shy away from really hard things, you know.
Yeah.
If anything, we just made things harder, you know, over and over again. Versus, you know, I guess not to poo-poo it so too much, but like there was a period when we switched programming, and all of a sudden we're like doing intervals of slam balls and shuttle runs and rowing and just fixed soft things because that's how the programming did it. And isn't that like a crazy difference on just, and then people get used to that. And then now, again, not to attack it, you've got this high rocks thing, which is also like maybe the easier elements or some of them that don't require thinking or technique or thought. And you can just go as slow or fast as you want. And it's back to that, like, I just want a 30-minute AMRAP mentality, you know, versus to do that workout, run a mile, dumbbell Fran, and a 200-meter run, and have it really expose who you are. Like those workouts will bring a lot out of you, you know, and then you just hear that guy or that lady just making noises, just primal noise they never would, you know, fighting for it. And like, who's better at the end of it? Is it that person, or is it the person that did the I mean, like, there's a mindset that creeps into all of this of like, well, we're just glad they came in. Coming in is better than not coming in.
Yeah.
You know, but at some point that mindset is defeating, I think.
And I think it's
back.
easier to go from, once you master, quote unquote, intensity, it's so much easier to go into something like high rocks where you're going for an hour and you hit 40 minutes. So you got about 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
And now you know how to dig. It's a little bit different because this is longer, but you know what it feels like to push past. Yeah. Whether like you did it in a 5-minute workout and now you're like, okay, I know what it feels like to dig now. I can do this for the remainder of this, than to go from something where you're like, my mindset is always to endure. I can endure, but now when you go, all right, now shrink it all the way down to 5 minutes, and you're like, yeah, I can hold this, but you don't need to hold in 5 minutes. You need to go.
Yeah.
Until you literally can't. So yeah, I think it's easier to go from intensity and then extend the timeline than the opposite way.
I think so too. And I think that once you have experience with intensity, it doesn't really leave you, too much. You can like for me, when I was doing Murph, even though it was a scaled Murph, by the time I got to round 9 or so, I had to stop because I started dry heaving, because like, all right, these are the scaled movements I need to do. But like, I just remember like, all right, we can do these push-ups fast, and then step right to the air squats and start squatting, and going again. And then it caught up with me. And also I had done my ab workout earlier today because I decided I wasn't going to do Murph. And then I started to feel it right here, because also I was doing box push-ups, which I think can be harder than knee push-ups on the floor, because it's your whole body. I was squeezing my abs so much that I started to cramp, and then I started to dry. Like, it was a whole thing. And I'm like, yeah, I remember this, and but also I remember how to get out of it too. And it's like, well, let me just keep accumulating reps, just slow it down a little bit, just breathe through this. But it doesn't mean stop, I mean, it means stop when your hands are on your knees and you're just like, like, all right. Yeah. But then right after, you just get up and walk right over. Or you just kind of remember, like, I call it like the Terminator pacing on again, I did a workout that you were in class where Josh had to teach rowing, toes to bar, and dumbbell presses. And like, as soon as the row is done, I put the handle down, I get off, and we're walking straight to the pull-up bar. Mm-hmm. And my hands are on the pull-up bar. And then I'll do my knee tucks. There is no, let me get up, let me get a sip of water, let me check my score, let me look around the room. It's just like, boom, right there. Then as soon as I'm done with that, I start walking towards the dumbbell. And my rest is from the pull-up bar to the dumbbell. When my feet are over the dumbbell, I'm going to put my hands on it and start going. And I'm committing to trying to go unbroken. And then I'm also looking out of the corner of my eye, I'm on pace with Miguel. Or, all right, I'm going to the dumbbell, he's still under the pull-up bar. It's just that you don't forget how to like look out of the corner of your eye. Even though you and I are not competing, I know where you are. Mm-hmm. And I have it there to like, I'm not trying to be ahead of you or beat you, but I do notice that I'm advancing and you're not. And then now there's this little game in my head. Well, how can I stay in front of Miguel? There's just this whole thing,
where you go, this is the gap that we have. Who's moving in what direction? Yep. Like I know we have a 5 rep gap right now. Oh, they're starting to catch me. Am I going slower or are they picking up? And then can I pick up if they're picking up? I used to do the same thing too, where whether I was scaling or not, or even later on where it was the opposite, where maybe I was doing RX and someone else was scaling, and I would go, I know where we both should be. And sometimes it is like, if you're doing RX and someone else is scaling, we should still finish at the same exact time, because this is the time and the pace that they're going. They're finishing this movement, let's say like muscle up transitions. They're doing 5 while I do like 3 muscle ups, or like rope climbs. Same thing with like get ups. And you're like, we should be getting off at the same time. Okay, we've been doing that consistently. Oh, they just got off before I did. All right, I got to pick it up to stay within this range that we've created.
Yeah, and it makes it fun, but
Yeah.
also it positively impacts your fitness. I remember way back in the day, because I had done it myself. Like people were literally trying to beat Donna, So here she is, this 70, almost 80-year-old woman in class. Everything scaled way back. The biggest guy in the room would see her advance ahead of him, and he would start doing his deadlifts faster. No,
Yep.
she's getting to the rower, but like I feel like people don't do that now anymore. They're just like, well, we're all working on our fit. Everyone's in their bubble and whatnot. But when I'm in class, I'm totally doing that.
Yeah.
And then I'm when someone beats me, so I'm like, no, like we gotta pick it up. And also from a coaching standpoint, having that awareness as an athlete, like if someone if it doesn't feel like they did all the reps, like I know. Like sometimes like I've done it so many times. I don't know if I've ever done it to you where like I'll just come over, I'm like, what is that, 15 and whatnot? And they're like, yeah, 15. I oh, okay, so you got 5 more to go, whatnot.
Yeah.
They're like, how the hell does he know how many reps I've done without counting your reps? I'm just making a guesstimate in my head on how much time has gone by on about where you should be. And then I will totally notice if you're advancing before Mike is. Or
and you're like, you're about 3 times that's like 3 reps faster than I thought you were. And then there are definitely times where I've seen that where I'm like, interesting. That's your fastest round.
Yeah, and we had a workout not too long ago where it involved push-ups, and I like this person was done, and I'm like, all right. So next round I counted, and I'm like, hey, that was only like 14 push-ups out of the 20. And like, oh, really? And I'm not being accusatory, but I'm like, are you counting down 1 up 2 or something like that? For some of them, or you give people an out that way, But yeah, I'll notice things when like something feels off, like in the room. I'm like, I don't know about that, because that's that's like if we're doing Air Force and someone finishes in 3 minutes. I'm like, so you went faster than Ian. Because like people forget you've seen things done in like a different way before, and then now like you're like counting their reps, and you're like, I didn't think you had got it either, Because also I remember what you did in yesterday's workout. Now, so you didn't hit the stimulus yesterday's workout, but now you're beating everybody on this workout. So let's talk about it. Let's make sure we're doing all the reps. Or I'll ask them, hey, did you scale the reps to 15?
Right.
That's another question I'll ask. And like, no, I'm doing 20. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, I counted 14 on that one. Things like that. Let's see, where are we at? I guess to have like a nice fluid thread here of topics. We just got crushed a little bit by the clean in Barbell Club. And also, it happens a lot in Metcons. It's okay to be humbled in training, and I think it's a good thing. So, like, there is no losing on it. Like, do I think everyone on the team is ready for those bigger cleans? Yes, on maybe a day where you're feeling fresher. Even though we were on a deload week, I don't know. Some people did Murph. We only did upper body on Wednesday. But I think maybe when we are on a deload week, does that mean everyone's like being really laid back on like their recovery, their nutrition, their eating, their sleeping, or they're like doing extra work and they're just tired? Is it the time of the month where all the reports are due to your boss or your supervisor? Things like that. Because that did come up at the end of the month. And I know for a lot of us, we have a lot to do at the end of the month. So everybody was just kind of mentally fatigued, it seemed, more than maybe physically. I don't know. So we got only one person PR'd the clean, which was Chris. After several attempts, even like he could have easily have walked away if not gotten that clean. PR. But he also could have cleaned way more. If he was really going after it, But I don't know. What are your thoughts on how that went? And it's not like it was a failure of a workout, because everybody still went pretty darn heavy. Haley didn't PR at 96, but any day we're cleaning 90 is a great day, and she PR'd her bench press. Most of you guys PR'd your bench press, even begrudgingly. I think you hit 200, right? So yeah, congrats, PR bench press 200, first time in a 200-pound club, right? Haley, 155 for PR. She hasn't done day 4 really.
Yeah.
And her day 4 doesn't even involve bench pressing.
Yep.
But and you know how hard it is for women to improve on the bench press without training the bench press. Like, so that lets me know all the other things we're doing. Haley is getting stronger in the upper body, which yes, that was one of the big things going into this year. We need her to be more stable and strong overhead. And we're seeing the results of that in her snatches and clean jerks. And the bench press was just like, hey, we're on the right track. Like that's still going up. And I think Jennifer hit in high percentage. Like, so it's like, if I was going to pick one that you guys weren't going to PR on, it would have been maybe the bench press or overhead squat.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, agreed.
And you guys still had overhead squat PRs, and you hit 2 kilo or 3 kilos under your PR. So it's like that anytime you're overhead squatting above 100, which I think this is the second time, right?
Yeah, maybe third. Yeah.
Maybe third. I mean, that's got to hopefully at least reinforce the fact I can snatch this. It'll actually be easier for me to snatch it than the overhead squat it. I don't know. Is that true?
I think so. Yeah.
It's like you won't have to deal with all the shaking and stuff like that. So what are your thoughts on just getting buried and humbled in training a little bit?
Yeah, I think again, it's you got to pull something out of it, and I think it's raising the floor, where it's like, hey, this wasn't anybody's best day. I think we've all talked about, oh, I can't wait until we get an opportunity to just do cleans, and everyone has numbers. Like, even mine are like a reach, but I'm like, double body weight. I would love to hit 130 like very soon. And going in and being like, I don't think it's the day, but let's see what we can get. And then starting off in the first couple warm-ups, you're like, oh no, it's not. At least today is not the day that it feels super easy.
Yeah.
I'll still go for it, but it doesn't feel super easy today. And then, hitting your, like, all right, I don't feel great today, but here's the minimum number that I can still hit. And like, for me to get 110 on a day where cleans aren't feeling good is, to me, I'm like, that's great. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And then obviously you make the jumps, maybe you miss, and then you jump up again and go, all right, let me just go for a PR. And being able to still put a PR on the bar and going for it is enough to make me go, okay, that's good. It's there. On a day where I feel good, that's there. So I'm fine with that.
You had 122 on the bar at one point, right? That was the weight, 122.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's the heaviest we've had on the bar in quite some time. And you were pulling it up to your chest and making an effort to go under it. Like that's, and that lets you kind of like take that and go back and recoup and be like, okay, like you said, if I'm feeling better, I'll make that tighter. And look at how I pulled it so high. And how did it feel? All these things. We got to have moments like that and days like that. And oftentimes it kind of comes when at a meet, when we're putting those weights on the bar, that's kind of when we find out a little bit, because we don't really train the clean by itself. But I think it's good to have this kind of be like a regular occurrence in like the deload time between where like, hey, we're going to take a break from all the hang stuff and the normal things that we've been working on this cycle, but we're going to do these more obscure other things, just to kind of feel them out and see where you're at. And I feel like the more we do it, then you can start to push the numbers on those and see your strict press, push jerk kind of go up a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if you're not training them, and be like, whoa, all right, that's kind of cool. Because I would have all kinds of obscure things that I would like PR on that weren't a part of my training program. You know, I would just like randomly do like a clean into a press and be like, whoa, all right, I clean and pressed it 150 pounds. That PRs my strict press, you know, and it's just like I'm not training that at all. Cool, all right, just like random things like that. But I do think those two are good ones. What do you think about this? That's that sequence of press, push jerk, 5-3-2 or 5-3-1. I think those are good numbers too, so we can like get more training out of the shoulder press.
Yeah.
Push a little more on the push press, and then just one is fine for the push jerk, really. and then the other total, because I do like the bench press, kind of how it's hung around all year. It's kind of like a staple. I do think we're a bench pressy team, and I think there's a lot of benefit for the bench press. I haven't seen it yet to affect negatively any of you guys' snatch or anything.
Right. I think, yeah, those are interesting because I think also as a weightlifter, sometimes you question if you're getting stronger. Mm-hmm. Not in terms of like you could see your snatch and clean and jerk go up, but sometimes it's the same. Sometimes there's a difference between better and stronger.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're both moving up. Sometimes you're just getting better, where you're like, my strength has been the same, but my technique is way better. So I'm executing these lifts a lot more. Or like we've been working on our core, and you're like, I can feel my core and I can see how that's been helping my overall lifts. But then you go into just the basic squat as well. But I think more like a strict press or a bench press, where you're like, we don't train like just strength from these movements, but to see it in a gap in time, going like, we don't train these movements, but let's max out. And then you see your numbers go up and you're like, oh, we are getting stronger by just Olympic lifting. I think sometimes you can forget that. So I think it's cool to do that every now and then.
Had we maxed out a thruster, my dream, we would have probably saw some PRs, or look at Schaff push jerking 137. Yeah. Like I keep telling everybody about this, like it's a big deal, because I think it's a big deal. Like many people have put 300 pounds overhead in the gym, but there is like a distinction between split jerk and push jerk. Yeah. There's more room for error on the split jerk. And that's back in the day when everybody was trying to get better at weightlifting. And eventually when you could maybe push jerk 225 or 245, you had to start to learn how to split jerk if you wanted to get to that next level.
Yeah.
And without training it really, Schaff just did 137 off the rack. Like how many times has he put that kind of weight overhead throughout this whole thing? Not many times. Yeah. At the Murder of Crows Open last year, this same weekend, literally a year ago, is when he clean and jerked 137 for the first time. He had cleaned it a few times, but could never get the jerk. So and Schaff has been doing pretty diligently day 4, all the benching, all of the shoot throughs, the pull up work, all that stuff. So he's getting stronger, Yeah. And that was just like a great thing to kind of pull out of that. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. Even Haley, who hates push jerks, the technique was better this time. Yeah. Like especially like when we had the lighter or the barbell weights, she was like driving under it and the core looked tighter and whatnot. And then of course, I think sometimes what may strain her is like when the aim is off. Some of you guys don't have that good behind the neck aim because we don't do it that often, which I think is a good thing because we don't need all that bringing down behind the neck.
Yeah.
Stuff in our lives.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that was something that I noticed where I was like, oh yeah, this isn't something that we do. I can't bring it down to the front rack, but it seems like I'm so much better than everyone else at bringing it down to my back.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that should be easier in my head. But for everyone else, it's like, and I think that's also the distinction between like me doing push jerk and everyone else doing split jerk. We're just like our positioning in certain areas is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because bringing down to the neck, some people I was like, don't do it.
Well, yeah. How many times did I say we can drop it, just drop it and clean it back up? I think I said it like 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Especially when we started getting up there in weight and I started noticing people like, some of you guys are bringing it down before your feet are even set, or you're leaning forward. And I'm like, God, all right.
And I'm like, deal with this. Literally, I was like, absorb it more. Absorb it.
It's that was that. It got a little hairy, but we got through it. But so it's we had a 2-day week this time, so I'm not quite 100% sure on what another day of deload I would want in there, I'm still kind of thinking on it, but I do think it's good, especially if we're like diligently squatting all year, to be like, no squats this week.
Yeah.
No lifts this week. We went through our doubles phase for 6 weeks. We tested. We have this week. We're still going heavy because the thing is, heavy is relative to the day, all those things, and the reps change how heavy you can go. But it's also, we are weightlifters. Like, what do you want? Like a really light day, like it would be nice. But and then on Monday, we restart everything, and it's all singles across the board, So singles on the squats, singles on the hang lifts. We're still with the low hang and the mid thigh right now. We're not quite done with them. Switching to singles should make them more enjoyable. But it's kind of like if we go back to like putting in the work on intensity, that's what we did. We had the work on the intensity because of that second rep, but also the volume. It's going to feel so different now going to singles. But I feel like now everybody's kind of learned, like, I can put more into that single. Or when the weight does get heavier than what we were doing for the doubles, all right, well, that doesn't matter. I only have to do one. And it could even be just the thought of like, well, I only have to do one, versus, oh, I have to do two, Although I think this year you guys have had possibly way more accuracy with rep number 2. And the effort on rep 2 has been totally different.
Yeah.
People are fighting more to make that rep 2 versus previous years where rep 2 was kind of like, well, we may need a dirty double, or we may need to go after it again, or it was expected that you might miss it. Now, I don't know. Have you seen that shift in the definitely. Effort on rep 2 just for yourself, but also in others?
I think it's also, like I pointed out one day where I was like, we don't do really dirty doubles that much anymore. I think everyone is like, all right, let me restart. And I think because of that too, everyone's like, I need to get this second rep.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that, and it's the second rep is different where you have to focus a little bit more. You can't also overdo it where you can't just go, I'm just going to lean all the way back because you're like, that's how I throw it over my head, which is how I usually miss these. Okay. So I have to, instead of that, as I bring down this first rep, I have to tighten everything. This has to be the best rep I've ever done in the exact way that I do good reps.
Yeah.
Because if I tighten it up, I put it in the exact spot. That's the only way I'm going to get the second rep. So you have to do it well.
Yeah. It used to be maybe, not on purpose, but like the first rep got all the effort, all the attention, all that stuff. The second rep was like, well, let's just see, what might happen. But now it's like I see effort on the first rep in like, I need to make this as smooth as possible to make my life easier for the second rep. So I have to be more efficient. And plus, to give everybody credit, the weights we're using now are way heavier than the weights we were using way back when we've done them. Like, it's like you have to be like, you guys, like I'm putting it together for the next performance review. You guys have to understand how much you've all progressed the lifts. Like, so, and like for some of you, for someone like Alex, I'll put like a plus 12 on the improvement, right?
Yeah.
But all of you guys who have gotten like a plus 3 here, a plus 4 there, a 1, a 3, a 5, like the difference between Miguel doing low hangs in 2023 versus now could be 25 kilos. Like that's so different. Like Miguel back then couldn't have done it for 1 rep. Now he has to dial it in to make rep 1 efficient, to get a foot into the door, to have to put a really big effort on the rep 2. It's so different. But that's the cool part of if we're in CrossFit, someone who's put in the effort on scaling things correctly and always getting 6 to 8 rounds versus 2 to 3 rounds. And now they've like opened up that next door where like now they can do 95 pounds and like, oh, I can do them all unbroken. And like, that's how you open up those doors. Yep. You guys are at that point with a lot of these lifts, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? Or just kind of what we've been talking about the whole time. It all kind of fits into one another because like I see I'm in the way back machine in the barbell club a lot because I'll scroll through a lot to find old PRs. So like every 6 weeks I have to scroll back just to make sure. And Wodify being funny now on how I have to look up, like to look up you guys' stuff for the other total, I logged you all in advance and then went in to do it. I used to be able just to look up Miguel Porter and it showed me the graph and all that stuff per component and stuff. They took that away, so I have to do it in a weird way now. But I'll also look back through the videos just to see if maybe there was a mistake in there. And I'll see all you guys, like just the way you guys look different, how much lighter or less upper body mass, less lower body mass, and also even the way the lifts look are completely different.
Right. Yeah. Like I said earlier, but my Google Photos, like it'll give me like notifications every day to like just to open the app it wants me to do, but it'll do like similar shots. And because most of my spots were like in same areas, it'll just give me all those videos. And you see, like, again, let's say I didn't PR my double for the low hang this time around, but I look at my last PR and I'm like, look at those reps. I was just doing anything to get under there. And you're like, no, now I have more, like, I guess my body has more integrity where it's like, I'm not just going to cheat and get under these. Like, I'm going to really try to do these the way that I snatch or like the way that I do this and that. So it kind of changes that mentality too, just looking at old videos.
Yeah. And all you guys, save for a few, are at the point now where the neuromuscular gains are way gone. We've crossed that bridge long ago. So like to be making these strength gains takes a lot of work and time and energy, and you're all clean athletes, and you guys are doing everything you can to survive outside of barbell club, and you're living normal lives. Like you have accounting work and architecture work and people calling you and deadlines and all these things and mentally taxing things. And now you have to go under that bar. Yeah. At the same time, you come to barbell club and I got a jump that you've never taken before on the card, like with Haley going 55 to 65. I'm like, well, we got to do it eventually. Why not today? Yeah. Or starting her weights heavier on things like, hey, let's starting the clean and jerks at 55 instead of 45. I think 45 is kind of gone, but depending on the workout. If we were doing triples, I'd still put 55 just to get it in there. But or you experimenting going 70 to 74 on what was that, the floor or is that the hang? Was that the mid thigh?
70 to 94. I think that was the floor. Yeah,
the floor. So I mean, like at some point we gotta like experiment, because like in a perfect world we'd go 70 100 for Miguel, and then now we're at 115 and then he's going to open at 125. I don't stuff like that. And that stuff, that's when you start to pull away from everyone else you've been competing with, and you start to get to that next level of things, or you start to make progress in maybe different ways, or you just gain the ability to still make progress while doing less work versus some people will hold on to their jumps like a blankie. Well, I have to go from here to here. I can't make that jump, but the more confident you get, the better you get. You're like, yeah, let me go 35, 55 today. Just see what happens. What's the worst thing that could happen? You miss it, and is it going to feel crazy heavy? No, you're working weights at 85. So what are we doing down here? Like we'll use those small jumps in situations where we just need the volume. We just need the sets to do. We're going to do 5 sets. This is the only way we can fit it in, unless we're going to do tighter jumps here, but it may not work out on the top end. Yeah. So some of you guys' weights, like every now and then I'll throw a 40 on there for you, and you're clearly past 40, but it might be because we're doing triples or a complex, or where the working weight is so light that we need 40 in there. In order to do it. That's kind of where we're at with everybody, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. It's a fun thing for all, to be able to be to that point. And then the others who aren't quite there yet will start to catch up, over time. The only reason they're not there yet is they're still just so new, or they just might not be mentally ready to do it. That's kind of like where I'll start to squat weight at something, and I'm like, oh, you're sneaking in a warm-up set before your warm-up set.
You're right. Yeah.
Like, but that's, you need the blankie. All right, do the blankie, but
yeah, I mean,
ultimately though, like you don't need it. Like you have, at some point you have to just accept that you are a weightlifter and you're strong and you could do this.
Yeah.
If someone walked in twirling their mustache and like, I will give you 10 grand today if you can complete this squat workout with that jump, you're like, oh, I will do it. Then why can't you just trust yourself to be able to do it now?
Yeah.
And then you have to ask yourself, if I'm not able to do it, am I doing everything I should be doing outside of this to be able to do it? Or am I doing conflicting things like running 10 miles, like other things, So yeah, that's just where that's just the reality of it. Like if you've been squatting all year, you're ready for it, and I used to do that too. Like I've said it before, like I used to take the same squat jumps. Then one day I was like, let me just get to 315 in as big a jumps as possible.
Yeah.
Because yesterday I did all those jumps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do I need 155 pounds? Like I squat that every day.
Right. Yeah. Like what's the risk in skipping it?
Nothing. It's just something up here that you just have to let go of it. And I think sometimes too, it's like you have to let go of like the routine of it too, and be okay. Like, oh, the squat workout might be shorter today.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad thing. That's an okay thing. Or do more work at the heavier weights. How about that? Yeah. It's tough to like. It's kind of like it's good to use crossover symmetry. It's good to do all these things. But if you come into CrossFit class and you can't perform without having done that before, what are we doing? Like, I don't know if when you took your level 1, if anyone said this, use your fitness, like, I remember Jennifer Hunter Marshall. I think I'm remembering her name correctly. Coach Jen. She was like, all right, we're going to do this now. And we're going right into it. Like, we're going to use your fitness. Like she just said that over and over again. Yeah. And it's like, it's a great saying. Just, you are fit. You do CrossFit to be ready for everything. So that's where I am kind of like at odds of like, well, maybe today we won't do Spider-Man lunges in the crop. Like let's start squatting. Let's do the thing. Because remember, they are functional movements. You can warm up for squatting by squatting. And if we need to do all of these physical therapy exercises before we're starting, what are we doing here, man? Yeah. And are we wasting time and taking attention from the main thing for all these little things to get ready for the main thing? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a bigger thing of like, yeah, you are an athlete. You know that you're going to be doing athletic things. You shouldn't wait for the moment that you go into the gym to be like, now we start becoming an athlete. Like a lot of that goes into the day of, you are sitting at a desk all day, but do you have a moment to stand up and, get a little loose here and there? Like that's a bigger thing of, okay, maybe you should be taking the time sporadically throughout the day to, get a stretch in.
Or get like a sip of
minute
water
or two. So that you're not completely broken and then have to start from zero by the time you get in the gym. I say this not doing that. But no, that is the thought for sure.
Yeah. I made the joke with so many people. Like if I saw them for the first time on Thursday last week and we were doing some air squats and I'm like, this is probably the first time some of you are bending your knees this much since Memorial Day. And they're like, yeah, it is. I'm like, that's on you. That's kind of on you. It's completely 100% your fault. Like, you're like, this is the first time you're doing anything about it now, And again, I say that as someone who didn't do that either. Yeah. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. The day after Murph, the workout was like 100 hollow or Superman rocks or something like that. And so I had to roll on my thighs while doing it. And I'm like, and I felt like that workout was maliciously programmed. Like I was mad about it. I'm like, you a-hole. Like you knew that people were going to do Murph and you're doing this one, like this one right now. And every time I rolled on my thighs, I'm like, that hurts. Yep. But also I'm like, you know what? This is actually the only thing that's going to get me down here right now. And then I got my foam roller and I rolled on my thighs. I'm like, all right, thank you, Power Monkey coaches, for making me come down here to do this, because I wouldn't have been down on the floor right now had it not been for this. I would have just been waiting for the soreness to go away. And boy, was it a lot of soreness. It was particularly brutal, for whatever reason. I had a pair of socks on the floor for most of the week because I took them off on Tuesday after coaching, sitting in the chair, and I'm like, well, I can't reach them. I couldn't reach them. And normally I would just pick them up with my toes. I'm like, I can't bring my leg up and reach it. So I'm like, the socks were on the floor until at least Thursday or so from when I gained the mobility to be able to pick them up. Have you ever been in that situation where you're like, that's not moving until I can do something about it?
No, I gotta figure it out. Even like my pulled hamstrings, like I'm like, I'll roll on everything to get myself down and get myself back up.
Yeah. No, I legit left a pair of clothes on the floor because I'm like, I can't deal with that now,
Yeah.
But I couldn't even like demo good mornings. Like my legs were so messed up. I knew going on, I only did a 8-minute walk each time. But I knew going on the second walk, as soon as I started going, I'm like, man, this is going to be a rough week because my thighs were completely jello. And then after I closed all the lights and stuff, going down the stairs, remember I've been going down freestyle. We were holding on to it because I was like, my legs, I'm like, if I let go, I'm going to fall down the stairs right now. Like I had the pure jello legs. That's always the worst when it happens right after the workout or during the workout. And you're like, man, my life is about to change dramatically. It'd be one thing if I was fine after the workout, walking it off, and then a couple days later got sore. But when it's jello and sore in the moment, I'm like, man. And then that's the type of soreness where you're like, I think this is life now. I don't think it's going to change. But it does. You just have to wait for it and work on it and hydrate and do all the really hard things. Doing Murph was not hard. Doing the things that you should do after Murph, it's really hard. We understand. So for all of our complaining on the podcast, we know we do the exact same thing. But hey, you got to talk about it. You got to make that effort. So Miguel, any other thoughts on anything we've talked about? Just kind of learning from the past, building on the future, planning things out. Putting in the effort, whether you're coaching and lesson planning, being a weightlifter, being a CrossFit athlete, leaning into that intensity. Like our coaching intensity is filming ourselves doing things. Any thoughts on all of it?
Yeah, I guess just it right now feels like, and maybe it's the deload, maybe it's the Murph, maybe it's first day of June, just like a reset and just refocusing on the things that we want and doing the things that you already know you should be doing to reach those goals. I think that's kind of like the mindset I'm in right now. Yeah.
And not letting go. Once you grab hold of it, don't let it go. Memorial Day, I didn't have to do Murph, but I had that freaking Durante core workout pop up again. And that was the last thing I wanted to do. Hollow rocks, all that stuff, but we got it done. It's watching the Queen's Gambit, doing hollow rocks, just getting it done. I think that it's such a hard thing once you do get there, just to hold on to it and just because the deeper you go into consistency, the easier it gets, and the harder it'll be to let go of it at that point. And we've talked about that all year. Once you got your streak going, you'll fight hard to keep it going. It doesn't matter how hard you are. It doesn't matter what the bills are due. All that. So I got to get this one thing done first. You remember Emily, right? Emily Bangaro, Barbell Club, interning at the gym.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So her stuff pops up in my feed all the time on the Barbell Club Instagram. And she's talking about her non-negotiables. Nice. And every day she's got a post of her doing push-ups, and they're a little social media-y, but that's the lane that she's in. She does personal training, puts out fitness videos, stuff like that. I hope she's doing well. Every now and then I'll check in on her and see how she's doing. But I saw these videos. She's in the parking lot. It's raining, doing push-ups. And okay, is it maybe a little staged? Maybe, probably, right? But it's the idea and message behind it. That's like, it doesn't matter that it's raining. It doesn't matter that her clothes are getting wet or her hands are in a puddle. She has it written in the video, non-negotiable. She's doing her push-ups. And then she had another one, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. wake up. First thing, hitting the push-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first thing, set up the camera. Second, hit the push-ups. Like, it's like, but like that's legit. That's real.
Yeah.
You know, that's going back to the Air Force Ian mindset and whatnot. Like, he wants to go to regionals. And of course, at not only regionals, go to the games. What are you going to do to be able to do that? You know, are you going to put down the bar? Or are you going to try to go into sumo dev high pulls? You know, all these things. Are you going to get distracted and then maybe you don't perform as well because your coach has the camera right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. What he's doing doesn't matter. Because if you can't handle that, how are you going to handle performing well in an arena full of people? Like, if you look beyond that, that should be, you shouldn't even notice that, you know. Like in Barbell Club, if I come up to film a lift, it shouldn't even trigger you in any way. It should be like, I have to make this lift, you know, because if you can't handle me being off to the side with the camera up, how are you going to handle someone walking in front, a baby screams, a dog is barking, the music cuts out, anything happens, you know, people are talking off to the sidelines, you know. You got to be able to tune all that out. A garage door opening, remember we saw that earlier this summer. You should just be tuned in and make that lift, because athletes perform no matter what, inside and outside the gym, in competition, outside competition. That's what the best athletes do. Yeah. Right? Or the people that are truly dedicated to it. So yeah, check out Emily's feed. It's cool stuff. It's because it's a different world. It's in like it's the global fitness center.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a world that we're not really in often. So it's like remember, those people are still working hard too, you know.
Yeah.
They get a bad rap in the CrossFit community because they're not doing what we want them to do. But like, they're still there working hard. It's just a different kind of work. Yeah. And if it leads to them being healthier, happier, fitter, awesome. You know, not everybody wants to do Fran. But for those who step through those doors, you better be ready. Cool. That's everything I got. I think those are all my notes. Yeah, cool. We didn't miss anything, right?
We can hit them as they come. Yeah, they'll be continuing. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, was there something I forgot?
Well, like the toes to bar focus that I'm doing.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Do you want?
We can go as next week.
Save that for next week. Yeah. You'll be 2 weeks in. We talked about you doing the workout, but okay. Yeah. Well, let's make that top, because I do want to dive into that on like, okay, you have a monthly focus. Why all those things? But that's another probably 30 minutes. So we'll come back to that first thing next week. We'll talk about that. Cool. Well, Miguel, where can people follow you?
Couldn't be Miguel on Instagram.
Awesome. Me, James and McDermott. Follow Albany CrossFit Barbell Club, Albany CrossFit, The Barbell Strikes Back. I don't even have the Barbell Strikes Back Instagram account on my thing anymore. I logged out of some accounts. I have too many. And thank you for listening. And we will be back next week.
Yep.
Later, Miguel.
See ya.